Hello, my name is Gray.
And my name is Crystal.
And this is Bust the Asian Beauties, the supernatural commentary podcast where I, someone who has seen this show several times,
And I, someone who only knows the show through social media, discuss every single episode of Supernatural from start to finish. Also, we are both Asian.
both Asian. So for today's episode, we will be discussing Season 2, Episode 6, No Exit. Written by Matt Whitten, directed by Kim Manners. Who is this Whitten guy? He also directs Playthings later on in the season. I mean, writes, but yeah. Those are his only episodes. Okay, so before we hop in, Crystal, what did you think about this episode before going in?
I had no clue. I guess I hadn't really heard of this one at all. Like, I know about Joe's backstory and how John got her dad killed on a hunt, and how at some point she says that she didn't fit in at school because she was a freak with a knife collection, but I didn't know where those things came from.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. Like, I didn't know that it was from this episode. I guess because those things are just things that, like, you absorb through fandom and you recall, like, outside of context.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's start with the actual episode. So, we start off in a city, which is not that common for Supernatural. So this was fun. It's night and there's this girl. She's on a call with, I guess, her landlord. And she's complaining about the flickering lights in her apartment. As she hangs up, she finds little droplets of this black goo all around. She reaches out and, like, with her finger and dips her hand into it. And I was like, lick it! Lick it! More goo starts happening around her. She goes over by... What is this? What?
The transcript
She
says
goes
it's
over
a
to, like, a
light
hole in the
switch.
wall. A light switch. But there's, like, a little hole in it.
Yeah.
And the black goo starts oozing in earnest out of the light switch. And she peeks into it. And a creepy eye peeks out. She screams, and that's the end of our teaser.
So, we're now to the roadhouse, where Sam and Dean are outside, about to head in, and Dean makes a joke about a girl who was kidnapped by an evil cult in LA named Katie Holmes. What is this a reference to?
Katie Holmes is an actor, but I don't really understand the reference. Like, was there, like, a cult thing going on in LA at the time? I don't know. But
Was Markiplier being attacked by gangs in LA at the time?
yeah, exactly. Did he get the breast reduction and breast unreduction?
Okay, the wiki says that Katie Holmes was dating Tom Cruise, who's a Scientologist, and that she became interested in it. So, like, the joke was, like, Katie Holmes has been kidnapped by the Scientologists.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Alright, yeah, Sam says that's funny, and for you, so bitchy. What does that mean?
What does that even mean? We get we get Sam saying bitch for absolutely no reason, no importance, no relevance.
Okay, Sam. And then we hear the sound of Ellen and Joe arguing inside the roadhouse, and Dean says, on the other hand, cat fight. Ugh.
That's like a bad thing to say, right?
Yeah. It's just, I guess, a term for fights between women, but in a way that I guess like
Yeah.
trivializes it for entertainment. It's
That's
yeah.
at some point in this episode, Dean like shakes his head to deny misogyny. And I was like, well,
And I was like,
fantastic.
sure, Dean. Dean may not think that this is gender studies, but I will make it gender studies. Was bitchy or catfight like points worthy, or is it just like I don't know? Maybe I'm becoming desensitized.
I feel like if this was like at the beginning of season 1, we would be like, give them a point. But now,
Yeah,
like, I don't know. Do you want to give them a point? I kind of want to give Dean a point for
yeah,
just in general, like this episode.
yeah, yeah. I'll give him a general point.
How about Sam though?
I just the thing, like, I feel like bitchy is
It's
not as
not. It's
bad.
not
Is
like
bitchy not as bad as bitch? I feel like I don't know. What do you think?
I think like there's a difference between referring to a woman as bitch
Yeah,
versus like just say calling Dean bitchy. You know?
yeah, yeah. Like, I guess, like, the word bitch itself and all of the, like, the variants are, like, there's, like, a problem with them existing, but I wouldn't blame people that much for saying them, except for in specific contexts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Alright, so Dean has a point now, so that is his fourth misogyny of the season.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but he's averaging less than one per episode, which is better than he was doing last
Yes,
season.
exactly. Sam and Dean enter the roadhouse, and Ellen and Joe, as they overheard, is fighting. Well, are fighting. I don't know. They're fighting. And Joe is complaining to her mom about how you can't keep me here. What are you gonna do? Chain me up in the basement? The argument is about how Ellen doesn't want her to go somewhere. Somewhere being a hunt, which is revealed a little bit later. Ellen says, if you want to go somewhere so bad, go back to school. Joe says her iconic line, I didn't belong there. I was a freak with a knife collection.
Go girl.
Go girl. So they continue arguing some more, and Ellen turns around and sees the boys. Sam and Dean were like, okay, bad time. We're gonna leave now. But as they go to leave, Joe stops them. Do I mention like the fucking
The three randoms.
family? the family of 4 that comes in at some point.
Sure.
Joe stops them to ask about their opinion on what's happening. There's like a whole scene where a family comes in, and it's like a family of 4 with 2 small children, and they're like, is this establishment open? And like Ellen and Joe both shout, yes and no at the same time, like respectively. It's pretty funny. And they were like, okay,
Yeah.
okay, we're just gonna go to the RVs down the road. The phone rings. So Ellen picks it up as Joe starts talking to the boys. She mentions that she has found a case, missing person case. Over the past 80 years, 6 women have vanished, all the same building, all blondes. Nobody has picked up the connection, but she did, so she wants to check it out. Dean like asks who put this together, Ash, which I thought was
Fuck off, Dean.
Dean, come on, Dean.
Yeah.
And Joe's like, I did it myself. And Dean's like, huh. And I was like, you
Shut up,
fucking
Dean.
asshole. Shut up, Dean. Ellen comes in and says, well, if you like the case so much, you should go check it out. And Joe protests. But Ellen says, Joanna Beth, this family has lost enough. I won't lose you two. I just won't. I think Samantha Ferris does a good job of acting Ellen.
Yeah.
Don't you think? I think both.
Yeah.
I don't really know the actress for Joe's name. I think she also does a good job of playing Joe. Like, Joe and Ellen are believable people. And, like, in the past episodes, we complained that they're not given a lot. This episode, they really get to shine. And
Yeah.
I love that. Like, I think the actors carry it well. I think the story carries it well. It's all super fun.
So the Impala goes into Philadelphia where the case is. It's just Sam and Dean together. And they go to the apartment building where we saw that woman disappear. Sam says that he feels kind of bad taking Joe's case. And Dean says, yeah, maybe she put together a good file, but could you see her out here working one of these things? Ha, I don't think so. What's wrong with this man?
Literally, what's wrong with him? Like, later on, he reveals that he's actually upset.
Yeah, but that doesn't explain most of his behavior. It explains him trying to keep her away. It doesn't explain him being so dismissive of her skills.
The charitable reading here is he's saying this because she's an amateur and not because she's a woman. But it really does just come off as she's a girl, she can't do hunting,
Yeah. Yeah, also, like, if he has anything against amateurs, like in season 1, they'd pick up a new girl every week and have her go on the hunt with them, even though, like, she didn't even know how to shoot a gun. Like, you let Sarah come along, but not Joe. They start running their EMF readers around the abandoned apartment, and Sam gets something from the light switch. They see the, like, black tar goo or whatever coming out of it, and they see that it is ectoplasm.
Ooh, hell yeah, dude!
Sam reveals the lore that you have to be one majorly pissed off spirit in order to produce ectoplasm. Which is fun, I guess. Does this come back at any point?
Oh yeah! Ectoplasm is a thing in Supernatural. That's why I was like, hell yeah, dude. I'm not sure, actually, if it's a thing in Supernatural or it's a thing in the fanfiction cases I read.
In, like, ghost media in general, but yeah, maybe it's in fanfiction, too.
Yeah. I enjoy ectoplasms, so hell yeah, dude. I love physical manifestation of the horrors, so.
Yeah.
But, also... What's fascinating is because it's an ectoplasm story, right? They also made the ghost, because this is a ghost, right? This is a spirit.
Yeah.
He is so concrete that I was mostly confused. Cat's voice. Yeah. Jensen Ackles' cat's voice. I'm mostly confused.
No. No. Yeah, so, as they keep investigating, they hear voices, and it's Joe talking to the landlord, acting like she's interested in renting out the place. Dean steps out from behind his hiding spot and goes, "What the hell are you doing here?" And then Joe, the absolute queen, decides that today is a fake dating case fic.
Yes! Hell
she
yeah,
says,
dude!
"There you are, honey," and, like, sort of, like, grabs Dean around the waist and goes, "This is my boyfriend Dean and his buddy Sam." And then, okay, so the landlord is, like, friendly, I guess, but also says, "Quite a gal you've got here." Okay, shut up. And then Dean smacks her ass and then says, "Oh yeah, she's a pistol." So, we're giving him a point, right?
I guess I saw this as rough housing. But why? What's your perspective?
I just don't think you should smack people's asses.
I mean, that's true.
So
Imagine if I followed that up with but. But actually, no, it's true. Sure, you can give him a point. But I guess,
Alright.
like, my hesitation comes from, like, the narrative not really framing it that way. But, like, when has that ever stopped us?
Yeah. Okay, so that's Dean's 5th misogyny of the season. So, and also when Dean does that, Sam makes a little face like, what the fuck, bro? They keep chatting to the landlord, who's confused about how Dean got in. But Joe changes the subject, and she says, well, her loss, the previous tenant's loss, our gain, because if Dino loves it, it's good enough for me. And Dean says, oh, sweetie, and then he smacks her on the ass again. So,
I think that counts as one singular point.
yeah, it does count as one singular point only, but still, I am glaring at him a lot. But also, I mean, if there was less ass smacking, this would be sort of a fun, cute scene. I love when people are mad at each other and fake dating.
I know. I think I posted I enjoyed Dean Joe. I'm sorry, women. Like when I was watching this scene.
Yeah, so Joe, like, pulled out a bunch of cash and is just like, yeah, we'll take the apartment. Apparently, they don't have to sign a lease or anything.
Fun stuff. In the apartment, Joe and Dean are talking, and Dean asks, like, what does Ellen know about this? And Joe says, oh, I told her I went to Vegas, and that and that she asked Ash to lay out a credit card trail to the casinos. Sam asks, like, where did you get all that money? Joe reveals that hunters are not that good at poker. But before she says that, Dean says, where did you get that money? Hunters don't tip that well. And I was like, Dean Winchester is a bad tipper, confirmed. Dean's phone rings, and as he answers it, it's Ellen. Ellen's asking if Joe is with her. And Dean, like, holds the phone back and starts talking to Joe. And it's a very cute scene. Like, they're whispering to each other. Like, I'm telling her. Like, oh, no, you don't fucking tell her. Don't fucking tell her. I'm gonna tell her. I'm gonna tell her. You know, it's that kind of scene. And Dean immediately goes to the phone and goes, I haven't seen her. And then, Ellen says, if you see her, drag her ass back here. Dean says, yeah, of course. And then they hang up.
Also, earlier in the scene, Sam is being such a I too am in this episode. Like, he's barely a character. He's got nothing going on. Yeah, I think there's a moment where Dean tells Joe that she shouldn't be on the hunt in the scene, and Joe looks over at Sam for support, and he just does a little shrug, and it's like, come on, Sam. Come on, please.
What do you think would Sam's perspective be in this episode? Because that's something I find interesting. Because would he be like, let Joe do her thing because that would be, like, reflective of his desire to do his own thing? Or would he be like, Joe shouldn't go hunting because it would be reflective of his desire to not necessarily go hunting, you know?
Right, I think specifically the fact that Ellen tells Joe, like, if you want to go, then go to school, would probably trigger Sam's, like, God, I wish I had Ellen as a mom instead of John, and Joe's so lucky that her mom supports her going to school and getting out of the life. So I feel kind of bitter that she's not taking this opportunity. Instincts.
I'm actually going the opposite. Like, I think he would be encouraging of her doing what she wants. But, we'll never fucking know, I guess. Or maybe we will in future episodes.
Only 2 is in this episode. We cut to a little later where Joe's going through blueprints of the apartment, and she is also flipping a small knife around as she does so. Stimming queen, autism queen, ADHD queen, love her. She says that this place was built in 1924. but only converted into apartments a few months ago, and before that it was an empty field. Sam suggests that there was a violent death in the building, but Joe says there's nothing. Dean says in just the rudest little, condescending voice goes, "Oh, so you've checked police reports and county death records?" And Joe's like, "Yeah, and obituaries, mortuary reports, and 7 other sources. I know what I'm doing." And Dean says, "I think the jury's still out on that one." Why is he being such a fucking bitch?
The thing is, his motivation, as we are supposed to believe, is he thinks it's fine that Joe's doing research, but she shouldn't go on a hunt. So why is he disparaging her research,
Yeah.
It's just, it feels so mean-spirited.
Yeah. He's just being so rude. And he tells her to put the knife down. And Sam thinks maybe it's a cursed object with a spirit in it. So they decide to go scan the whole building. Dean says that he and Joe will take the top 2 floors together. And Joe says we should split up. And Dean says, "Oh, this isn't negotiable."
Okay. Oh, I'm gonna get the gender studies line. So, Joe and Dean are walking down a hallway of the apartment building with EMF readers. Joe makes a joke that, "Oh, if you are gonna ride me this close, it's only decent you buy me dinner." Shit like that. Dean expresses regret lying about where Joe is to Ellen, but he says, "That's all I'm gonna do. I'm not letting you out of my sight." And points out that Joe is the spirit style. She's blonde, she's petite, all that. Joe says, "Yeah, exactly." And this takes Tina back. He was like, "Oh, you want to become bait?" Joe says, "It's the quickest way to draw it out, and you know it." Dean's all like, "Oh, I'm fucking regretting this already." This is when Joe calls Dean out for his quote chauvinist crap. He says, "Oh, you think women can't do the job?" And Dean says, dun dun dun. He says, "Sweetheart,
this isn't gender studies."
Gender studies.
Shut the fuck up, Dean. I love how he's like, "I'm not a chauvinist, but I will condescendingly call you sweetheart." Alright. Can I just give him a point for how fucking annoying that line was?
Is the catfight point just a point just for the catfight? Because I thought it would be a more general.
Oh, okay, then fine, alright. I'll just bundle it into the catfight point.
Yeah. And Dean says, "Women can do the job." Hashtag, I am not a misogynist. What are you talking about? He says, the problem isn't that Joe is a girl, it's that she is a woman. No, that she's an amateur. And that she has no experience. He says, what you do have is a bunch of half-baked romantic notions that some barflies put in your head. Joe says, "Now you sound like my mother." And Dean replies, "Oh, that's a bad thing? Because let me tell you." And then Joe's like, "What?" And Dean forgets what he's about to say. And he says, "Forget it." And then they start walking around some more. Dean says, "You've got options. No one in their right mind would choose this life. My dad started me on this when I was so young. I wish I could do something else." Well, that's just sad.
Yeah.
And, Dean says, "I do love the job, but it's because I'm a little twisted." And Joe says, "Oh,
So
you don't
true.
think I'm twisted myself?" I love twisted women. Yes. Yeah. Go, Joe. Anyway, Dean says, "You've got a mother that worries about you, who wants something more for you. Those are good things. You don't throw things like that away. Might be hard to find later." Is he projecting?
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously.
A lot.
I mean, I guess this is why I think Sam would be like more supportive of Joe, because like in
Yeah.
my head I'm like, Dean is already against her, so if they make Sam against her too, it's like 2 versus 1. It's not appealing.
Mm.
But I mean, Sam doesn't need to be a foil to Dean all the fucking time.
Yeah.
So who knows? But also,
Yeah.
like later on
Sam
in
can be
Supernatural,
misogynistic too. Equality.
exactly. Hashtag equality. But
Hashtag
later
let
on,
Sam be misogynistic.
later on in season 10, I think, or but like a season where Claire is in,
Mm-hmm.
Sam says it's her life. She gets all the calls about a choice about Claire choosing to hunt. So,
Mm.
like I do think Sam would support Joe in whatever it is she wants to do.
Yeah.
I just wish we could have seen it.
Yeah, instead of him just standing in the background shrugging at her. Okay, so they get closer to a grate near the floor, and Joe spends some time standing in front of it, and then we see this grimy hand go through the vent and try to grab her leg, but she turns around in time, gasping. Dean says he smells something weird, but he doesn't know what it is. And then
He says
Joe.
specifically, I know it. I just can't put my finger on it.
Mm,
Which we
yeah.
will fucking go back to later. Put a pin on that right now.
Joe puts her EMF reader near the grate, and it starts going off. So they decide that the spirit is probably in the vent. Dean has her hold the flashlight as he unscrews the grate, and then, oh, I hate when people are amateurs, so I'm just gonna stick my fucking arm into a vent with a spirit in it and not even shoot some salt in there first. Okay, Dean. He
No,
just,
he's confident that he's not the target.
I mean, they could still, attack him a bit for trying to, keep the spirit away from the target. But also, I understand
Maybe.
your point. This episode's a big loss for blonde Dean truthers.
Exactly.
He feels around and sees that there's something there, and he pulls out, this big clump of blonde hair with, blood at the end of it. It's really
There's that
gross
piece of
looking.
scalp. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like connected to scalp too. It's fucking
yeah,
disgusting, bro.
uh-huh. So, he says, okay, so the spirit's been keeping souvenirs.
In the apartment, there's another blonde woman walking inside her apartment. Ectoplasm drops from the ceiling to a paper that she's reading, and then the lights
Yeah.
start flickering.
The paper is an invitation to a lingerie party.
I
Did you
know.
notice
I
that?
was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, well, w- hashtag lesbianism. But she throws it away, so tough luck. She sees a large crack appear in the ceiling, and the way it's appearing is like someone is scratching the ceiling, like
Mm.
someone is holding a knife. Like it's a la Hookman, Anyway, she gets a little bit freaked out. She goes to the phone. There's only static. She goes to the door to try to get out. She can't open it. And there's a grate beside her, beside the door. Much like the grate that we saw Dean and Joe open earlier. And
Mm.
she stares at it because the cracks lead to there, and a hand comes out of the grate and grabs her, and she struggles and struggles, and then the scene cuts.
So, in the morning in the apartment, Dean is sleeping on the couch in a
The
position.
worst position ever. What is
Yeah,
this?
I don't. He's like on his stomach, but also on his arm, and also his back is like halfway twisted around, and his legs are weird. He's just not doing good. So, and we hear some police sirens or ambulance sirens or something nearby. He wakes up to Joe at the table, studying the blueprints again and twirling her knife around again. And she tells him, "Morning, princess." And apparently Sam went out to get coffee. They just fucking made this up. Literally, Sam is like standing in a room staring at a wall like a sim.
Yeah. He's not even carrying coffee when he comes back.
Dean gets up and he's like, "Oh, my back hurts so much because you got to sleep on the bed. Your back hurts because of your weird as fuck sleeping position, Dean. I'm sure the couch could have been fine." Joe says that she hasn't been sleeping because she's just yeah, absolute queen.
Amazing.
Yeah, I bet she fucking, like, fist fought Dean for the bed and then was like, you know what would be really funny?
If I just didn't use it, yeah, go Joe.
Yeah. Wait, sorry, this is sort of a deviation, but have you seen the posts about, like, whenever Destiel have a fight, then Cass
Dean would be
demands
on the couch.
bed? Yeah, Dean would take the couch and then halfway through he would remember that Cass doesn't even need to sleep. Dean takes out like a much larger knife and hands it over to Joe. And he says, like, "Here, like, take this. It works a lot better than that little pig sticker you're twirling around." So, Joe, at this disparagement of her knife, hands the knife over to Dean, and he sees that engraved on it is W-A-H, which is Joe's dad's initials, William Anthony Harvell. And Dean says, "I'm sorry, my mistake," and he takes his knife back. So they start having a conversation about their fathers. Joe asks what Dean remembers about his dad. When he doesn't tell her, she, like, insists. She seems kind of teary about the situation, going, "Come on, tell me." And Dean says that he remembers when he was 6 or 7 and John took him shooting for the first time at 6 or 7, and apparently Dean bullseyed every single one of the bottles on the fence. And
do
John
you believe that?
I think the writers believe it and Dean believe it, but it seems highly unlikely. Like, shooting a gun is hard, right? The rebound, like, or whatever against your shoulder is, like, a lot of force. Like, a 6-year-old would probably just fall over.
I mean, I don't know if these writers have ever met a fucking 6-year-old, but, like, they are literally the clumsiest, most... You don't give a 6-year-old a gun. So, yeah. I think that's a testament on John being an asshole.
Right.
But also, I guess, specifically, I just don't think it's true. I think Dean is misremembering something.
Yeah. I guess my first thought when I heard that was, like, that Dean was gonna say afterwards, "Of course I only did that because I'd been, like, secretly practicing at night while he was asleep or gone so that I could, like, impress him later." But he didn't say it. We're just supposed to believe he got all of them first shot. He says, "He gave me the smile, like, I don't know." And Joe says, "He must have been proud." And Dean asks about her dad. And she says that, "Well, I was really young when he died, but I remember him coming home from a hunt. He'd burst through that door like Steve McQueen or something, and he'd sweep me up in his arms."
Is Steve McQueen an old reference?
Who is Steve McQueen?
He's the guy from Cars.
No, that's Lightning McQueen.
Really? Oh, no.
Okay, Steve McQueen appears to be an actor in the 1960s. He's not the car from Cars. So true, though. Literally, her talking about her dead dad, he would bust into that door like Lightning McQueen from Cars.
Jesus Christ.
So she says, and he'd sweep me up in his arms, and I'd breathe in that old leather jacket of his. Oh, leather jackets and hunters. Why? And she says, and my mom, who was sour and pissed from the minute he left, she started smiling again. And we were a family. You want to know why I want to do the job? For him. It's my way of being close to him. Now tell me, what's wrong with that? And Dean, who looks quite moved, says nothing.
A part of me was like,
yeah.
oh, Dean is like, I don't remember this conversation, so I was like, oh, maybe Dean will say that like your dad would have wanted you to be safe, and that would have pissed me off. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that he didn't. Like, I'm glad that he said like there's nothing wrong with that. Like, remembering your father is okay.
Yeah. Agreed. Though, I mean, unfortunately, like, so sorry, Joe, but the only thing I could think of during this scene was how in the Winchester script, John volunteered for the Vietnam War so he could feel closer to his dad.
No, this is different.
It is absolutely different. But, like, yeah, I just think that people... Yeah, I'm glad that Joe has picked a better thing to do to honor her dad than volunteer for the fucking Vietnam War. Sam comes in and interrupts the moment. The transcript says Sam burst through the door like Steve McQueen or something.
Like a Lightning McQueen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if anything, who do you think in Supernatural is the Lightning McQueen of Supernatural?
I've never watched Cars. Which is probably why I thought Steve McQueen was Lightning McQueen.
Yeah. Oh, I guess his whole thing is just that he's, like, overconfident and full of himself, and he needs to be taken down a notch by visiting a small town and befriending the cars there.
Oh, definitely Cass, then.
He's not... Cass isn't, like, full of himself and, like, being a rock star, though. Alright, I can see that. Yeah, I think that the fictional character Jensen Ackles from the Supernatural episode The French Mistake is the Lightning McQueen of Supernatural.
Oh my god, now I'm thinking like a Cars SDLAU. I'm sure someone has done it. Wait, let me look up.
Yeah, no, you're right. I feel like people could
AU.
definitely cast Dean as Mater and Cass as Lightning McQueen, or the other way around.
Like, Cass is a guy that like shows up in a small town to learn car vanity, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Dean is the rusty pickup truck that he befriends. Or Dean is like the pretty blue Porsche who Lightning McQueen's actual love interest is.
no, he's definitely the fucking rusty truck.
Yeah.
And he's like, and Cass is like to his sports car family, like, look at this handsome car that I found on Earth. And they're all like, he's literally the ugliest motherfucker I've ever seen.
I hope Dean's like butt ugly by angel standards.
I know.
You know the Lord of the Rings, like, Acne, but I love him Tumblr post? About how, like, Legolas might be super ugly by, like, dwarf standards. That's just,
Exactly.
Did you find any cars that use of STL?
There's just like, they're like making out on top of the car.
Boo. Not the same thing. Alright, so Dean asks, where's the coffee? And Sam doesn't answer. He just says there are cops outside. Another girl disappeared.
So, in the motel room, the I was gonna say the boys, but they're not the boys. In the motel room, Sam, Dean, and Joe are looking over their notes once again, and they're discussing what happened to Teresa, who is the woman who got taken by the ghost earlier. Dean is still confused as to who it may be because the history of the building is clean, like no one has died on a bad death in this building. And Joe, who's very smart, picks up a picture of the lot that the building was built on, like from years past. And she says, maybe we're looking at the wrong place. Check this out. And she shows the picture of the empty field, but beside the empty field is a building with bars on the window. And they realize that they're next to a prison, or at least the building was when it was built. Joe calls up Ash, who she threatens. We only see the tail end of the call, and she's like, if you breathe a word of this to my mom, yeah, that's right, I will, with pliers. And I was like, go, Joe.
Yeah.
I love a woman who threatens violence. So, the prison is called Moya Mensing Prison, and it was torn down in 1963, so it's not around anymore. And they used to execute people by hanging them in the empty field next door. So this place is probably full of spirits who were hanged by the prison. They got a list, and during this scene, we have a shot of the laptop and then panning to Sam, and we see very clearly his hand, which is on a cat.
Yeah.
I was like, cool, bro. Cool cast, bro. And they have 157 names running on their laptop right now. And they're talking about narrowing it down when Sam finds a name that looks familiar. Herman Webster Mudgett. And Sam's like, wait, hold on. Isn't that H.H. Holmes' real name?
I love that Sam's a true crime girl.
Yeah, I'm kind of offended that they made Dean know who H.H. Holmes is. Or I guess like knowing him is like fine. But the kicker is that Sam knew his real name, so like true crime buff galore. I love it. I love this scene. It's like this is the beginnings of a truly Sam character trait.
Yeah.
And the thing is like I feel like it's so in character for Sam to be a true crime buff. Like, of course he fucking is, you know? Apparently, this H.H. Holmes guy was executed back in 1896 in this lot. And Dean explains to Joe, who doesn't know this guy, who this guy is. And he is the reason why the term multi-murderer was invented. America's first serial killer, 27 murders, but probably a lot more. His victim of choice was pretty petite blondes. He used chloroform to kill them, which is what I smelled in the hallway last night. And I was like, oh, that sucks that Dean knows what chloroform smells like.
Yeah, when do you think he was chloroformed?
I would rather not think about it, I feel.
Fair.
But yeah, that's the pin we put there earlier. He knows what chloroform smells like. What a sad man.
I mean, maybe he just like has chloroformed monsters on hunts before, though. You know, like maybe it wasn't over his face. I don't know. Maybe he ran into a werewolf and he was like, "Let's like get you passed out."
Does chloroform kill? Because I thought chloroform was like a passing out agent.
Yeah, maybe if you hold it over their face long enough, they'll die of suffocation and the chloroform will also be there. I too am in this murder.
Yeah. Joe says, oh, we can just salt and burn the bones then. But apparently, as foreshadowed by my comment last episode, where I said, or was it a couple episodes ago, where I said that in the Philippines, graves are covered by concrete. This guy's grave is covered by concrete, so they can't they can't unbury the bones and burn it. So Sam brings up the murder castle, which is a place that H.H. Holmes built, where it's basically a death factory. That's what Sam calls it. Like trapdoors, acid vats. Inside the walls, there are like people kept in them, and like they die out of hunger. And so Joe realizes that Teresa might still be alive. She just might be inside the walls. So they go to search for Teresa inside the walls.
Yeah. I guess a quick fact check on H.H. Holmes. The murder castle has been greatly exaggerated. There were no, like, acid pits or whatever. Like, he did kill quite a few people, but it never really was because he liked murdering that much. Like, he seemed to just want fun and profit, and he'd just, like, kill, like, his business partners. And also he'd kill, like, mistresses and stuff because he sucked. And also, like, I didn't find any evidence that he went after blondes specifically. Like, that's a common serial killer thing, but it's not an H.H. Holmes thing. So,
yeah.
I mean, I guess charitably they just, like, made that up for this episode so that Joe could come along. Uncharitably, they just, I don't know. You know, it's just a fucking, they just wanted to watch blonde women suffer, because Supernatural is the #1 employer of blonde women in the U.S.
I feel bitter that it's inaccurate, because Sam would know better, you know?
Yeah, Sam would know better. But maybe in the Supernatural universe, H.H. Holmes, in fact, had all of this shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I will change the world so that Sam can be correct. We cut to Dean and Joe again. Who give a fuck about Sam should be the title of this episode, because they clearly don't. We cut to Dean and Joe inside the walls, going around, looking for places Teresa might be hidden. Joe's presumably on the phone with Sam, who can't find anything. They reach a passageway that's too narrow for Dean to get through, but Joe is able to squeeze past him. And as she does that, Dean says, "Ugh, should have cleaned the pipes." You don't say that out loud, Dean. That's so fucking rude.
Keep that shit to yourself, bro.
Keep that shit to yourself, bro. Also, you were sleeping on the couch in the living room. Like, so yeah, it's good that you didn't clean the pipes. Yeah, Joe goes, "What?" And Dean says, I wish the pipes were cleaner. And Joe just says, "Shut up."
Joe fucking elbows him. So
yeah.
Go, Joe.
So she decides that she's gonna go through the passageway alone, despite Dean's protests. And as she keeps going, they're no longer able to see each other. So Dean calls her. She keeps heading down dark and grimy passageways and finds an air duct that she starts heading down. Dean tells her to stay up here, etc., etc. And Joe says, "We've got to find this girl, don't we? I'm okay." What do we think Joe's thinking here is? Like, do we think that she's actually this fixated on the hunt? Also, why doesn't she have a salt gun on her?
I think, she has something to prove. So,
yeah.
I mean, of course, there's the whole, we gotta save Teresa. But, I think a lot of her motivation stems from, I've got to prove myself to my mom, to Dean and Sam. Oh my god, the Sam girls are coming for my head because I said Dean and Sam.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Sam girls, it's okay. Gray just said that because Dean's the most misogynistic, so Jo would be thinking of him first in terms of who to prove herself to.
No, exactly. That's exactly why I said that.
Yeah. So she is being a bit reckless, or at least, like, trying to tamp down her feelings of fear. She also might be feeling a bit embarrassed because when they were explaining H.H. Holmes and she didn't know who he was, like, I guess she probably felt kind of dumb not knowing who he was and also, like, being a bit scared hearing about him. So she's, like, overperforming right now. Ugh, sorry, Jo. So, Jo goes down the air duct and she's on, like, a lower level of the building now, and she sees ectoplasm start coming out of the wall cracks, and Dean's asking, "What is it, Jo?" And he hears her scream over the phone. He starts running down to near where she was and starts beating the shit out of this wall. Does the landlord not hearing any of this? Like, I'm assuming he lives in the building.
I was like, literally, how did I leave this fucking building?
Yeah, like, you're not getting your deposit back, and also, like, jeez.
It's so wild what they do to this fucking building and to the lawn outside of this building. Like, they're really just fucking ruining the place.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's fine. We hate landlords, but also, like, ow. Dean finally makes it through a wall and sees that Jo is missing. Her cell phone's on the floor, alone. Dun dun dun.
Yeah. So, Dean is running up the hallway when he bumps against Sam. And he relays that the Mr. Holmes has got Jo because he left her alone. And he is obviously very upset about this whole ordeal. I mean, obviously, he should be.
Yeah.
But it's upset in a way that's like blaming himself. He thinks it's his fault. I mean, it kind of is. So, Sam says, "Oh, just look for her inside the walls." And Dean says, "Well, obviously she's not inside the walls because we checked all the walls and Teresa's not there." So, back in the apartment, they talk about what's going on with this entire case. When Ellen calls and she says, "You lied to me," she's there. "Ash told me everything, so put my damn daughter on the phone." And Dean says, "She's gonna call you back. She's taking care of feminine business."
Jesus Christ.
Dean.
What
does he mean by that?
Say
what do you
that
think
she's
he's implying?
I think that, like, she's, like changing her pad or tampon in the bathroom, I think. You could just say she's in the bathroom.
Anyway, Ellen demands to talk to Jo. Dean says, "Finally, look, we'll get her back." And then he says that the spirit they're hunting took her. And then he says she'll be okay. "I promise." And Ellen says, "You promise." That is not the first time I've heard that from a Winchester.
Go Ellen, but also, oh god.
I know.
This episode must suck for her so bad.
Yeah. It sucks, especially the end, right? Like, it sucks for Ellen and Jo. And you feel it too. Like you feel it through the screen that, like, it sucks for them. Anyway, we'll talk about it when we get to it. Ellen says she's gonna take the first flight out and she'll be there in a couple of hours. Dean is, very upset about all this. Sam figures out that in the murder castle, he didn't just hide people inside the walls, he also hid them in the basement. Dean remarks that there's no basement in this place. Sam says, but there's like a weird sewage system that's not in use anymore, and Dean's immediately like, okay, let's fucking go.
So we cut to Joe stuck in the sewer system. She is in like some small dark place lying down. So she turns on her flashlight and sees how small the space is, and she also sees that, like, I guess the wall in front of her has a bunch of fingernail scratches and blood in it. Like, there's been a lot of people in there who have tried to scratch their way out.
It's a good visual.
Yeah.
And the way she starts crying immediately afterwards is like, oh no. Like, you really feel her dread. You really feel her, I don't know, kind of regret, I feel. It's like, the visual is very good. Like, when it happened, I literally was like, no! Like, you know.
Yeah.
I was really invested.
Yeah, so like you said, she starts crying a little bit, but then she like sort of scrubs her face and takes a deep breath so that she can pull herself together to investigate further. Which, yeah, I think was a good moment. Like, I think that the parts where we do see Joe hunting, they do a good job of showing, like, she's new at this, but she's, like, still good at it. And, like, we're not gonna make fun of her for her moments of distress.
Yeah.
So, there's, like, a little slit in a wall next to her, so she can see out, which is just like a big round room with a lot of other like little like boxes where people could be in. She hears a noise, and it's Teresa, so they greet each other, and then Joe says, "This won't make you feel better, but I'm here to rescue you." Yeah, I feel like there's quite a few visual parallels to Sam and the Benders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also to Cage, like, "Hi, I'm here to rescue you, whoops." But Teresa's luckily a better cellmate than whatever that guy's name was. Teresa says, like, "Oh god, he's out here, he's gonna kill us." And Joe reassures her that Sam and Dean are looking for them and will rescue them. And then we hear footsteps from the spirit coming. And they quiet down. And then the fucking creepy hand goes through the slit and grabs Joe's hair, and she's like screaming and like crying as it like rips a chunk of her hair off. It's like, it's very visceral.
Sam and Dean are in some field beside the building, and they have a metal detector and a shovel. And Sam stops over one spot where the metal detector is buzzing, and they start digging. They uncover a metal trapdoor. They open it up. They take their weapons, and they start climbing down the fucking sewer. In the prison area sewer thing, Joe is in her cell. She hears footsteps approach, and the man is beside her again. He starts talking to her, and this is when you kind of realize that this ghost is different from a lot of other ghosts we've seen before, because he is a solid person. The guy is like very creepy ghost, like, "You're so pretty, so beautiful," and then he creeps a hand inside the cell and starts touching her shoulder, touching her neck, and she turns away, and then turns right back and stabs his hand with her knife, which is made of pure iron, so it stings him. Sam and Dean are still scrolling through the sewers. You see, like, the sewer water and where they're crawling, and it's pretty fucking disgusting. Jo is still in her cell, and she is wondering whether Holmes is gone when he starts grabbing her again, and he puts a hand over her mouth, so he's chloroforming her. When suddenly Sam and Dean come in and shoots Holmes right in the chest, and he disappears. Dean gets a crowbar and starts unlocking Joe's cell, passes the crowbar to Sam, who unlocks Teresa's cell. Dean tells Joe, hey, remember when you said you wanted to be bait? I think that's our best idea right now.
Which is, like, they're not even offering her any comfort before, like, going right into that. Like, she's clearly shaken up. Ugh. Yeah. Also, like, I guess I'm just kind of annoyed that we had 2 episodes in a row where the bad guy's main trait is, like, trying to sexually assault women. We don't need that often. Like, calm down a little bit.
I think here it's like, they like you said, they did it that way so that Joe can participate. But, like, you know, like, Supernatural has this thing where, like, oh, if a black person is in the episode, it's like they're being hunted because they're black, and like with Joe, it's like she's being hunted because she's a woman and she's the monstrous type, and it's like you can do this without that. Like this guy can just be hunting people, period. Like, you know.
Yeah.
But I guess they wouldn't be able to do the bait thing if they did that.
So, we cut to Joe, and she's, like, sitting alone in the middle of the room, and she's, like, clearly freaked out, but she's staying still as the ghost appears behind her, and then starts walking towards her. And then, once he gets, like, really, really close, Dean yells, "Now!" And Joe sort of rolls out of the way. Sam and Dean shoot at something on the walls. And then, apparently they put up a bunch of bags of salt on the wall, which all, like, burst open and create a perfect little circle of salt around Holmes. So he's trapped.
Hell yeah, dude.
How hard did it take? Like, how difficult was it to, like, set that up? Like,
I know,
I just
like,
feel like there would
is
probably
heavy.
be and there'd probably be, like, a gap in the circle. Like, how'd they get the circle so nice? Still a fun idea, though. And Holmes starts, like, screaming, crying, throwing up about
basically.
Yeah, he's, like, really upset. I guess it's because it's, like not as cool of a, like, quote-unquote, like, kill or, like, defeat of the monster. They had to, like, really show him suffering about it so you could feel triumph. And it is nice to see him screaming, crying, throwing up. So, as they head out, Joe yells, "Scream all you want, you dick, but there's no way you're stepping over that salt." And I'm glad that she got the last line, like, in this scene, because, like, she deserves it.
Fascinating that she says dick instead of son of a bitch.
This is gender studies.
This is gender studies.
Yeah, does Joe ever say bitch in this episode?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, yeah.
So they do know that it's, like, weirdly gendered the way they use bitch in the show.
Uh-huh.
If they won't let the female characters say it.
Yeah. Well,
this is gender studies.
Yes, it is.
Anyway, back in the street, Sam and Joe are standing over the grate. Sam asks Joe, "Oh, did you think this would be as glamorous as you thought it would be?" And Joe says, "Except for the pee your pants terror, yeah. That Teresa girl's gonna have a life because of us. It's worth it, isn't it?" Sam agrees. This is their only interaction.
Yeah.
In the entire episode.
They also have, like, a cute moment in the back of the Impala.
Oh, yeah! Well, that's not an interaction. No?
Yeah.
That's just whatever that was. Anyway, Joe asks the question that everyone has
Yeah.
wanted to ask, which is what if somebody goes down there and finds the guy, or the storm washes the salt away? And Sam says, "Oh, that's why we're waiting here." And by waiting, he means waiting for a fucking cement truck, bro. And a cement truck that Dean is driving pulls up, and they start cementing down the sewer thing. Dean says that ought to keep him down there till hell freezes over. And I was confused as to how this works exactly. Because this thing is a spirit.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess that's why, like I kept on saying earlier, he's so concrete, he's so solid. Like, I think that's what they were trying to do. Like, this spirit, because he has ectoplasm, he's like physically, it's a physical manifestation. He can be trapped by physical means.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's what they were trying to do. It's still a bit weird that this works.
Yeah, I'll take it, I guess. But yeah, the
Also,
lore
there's not
is
enough
weird.
cement in that fucking cement truck to fill up this whole thing. What is
Right.
going on, Supernatural?
I guess, like, as long as they just block off all the entrances, like,
Yeah.
he can't leave. Like, he'll have, like, some space to run around
Hotel
and
California
throw up in.
core.
Yeah. Next, we cut to the Impala. Dean is driving. Joe and Sam are in the backseat boys, and Ellen is sitting next to Dean. Ellen looks fucking pissed.
The reveal that Ellen is the one sitting next to Dean had me screaming and crying. Like, oh my god, they relegated Sam to the fucking backseat. That's so fucking funny. But, like, I get it. Like, when my parents drive, like, usually it's my mom and dad at front, right? Mm-hmm. But when a grandparent rides the car, they get front seat privileges. So, like, I get it. But, like, it's still so fucking funny.
I mean, because if we were going the normal configurations, it would be Ellen and Joe in the backseat, and they would be, like, fighting by now.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. So Dean, like, oh, Ellen, you take the front seat. Sam, you be the human barrier between these two.
Yeah. Dean is trying to lighten the mood, and he tells Ellen, man, you really weren't kidding about flying out, were you? And Ellen continues just staring straight ahead, grimly, and Joe sort of looks at Sam and raises an eyebrow at him, and they sort of smile at each other, and it's a cute moment. Dean's like, how about we listen to some music? And he turns on the radio, and, like, a second later, Ellen just, like, her hand shoots out, and she turns it off.
Yeah.
And
you don't recognize the song because you didn't acknowledge it. It's Cold as Ice by Foreigner. And, like, the first line is, you're cold as ice. And it's like, it's just such a funny, like, a music choice for this moment. Because, like, of course, you know, like, Ellen is literally cold as ice. Mm-hmm. And it's extremely funny. I did burst out laughing.
Yeah. So, Dean just sort of sighs and goes, well, this is gonna be a long drive.
So, in the roadhouse, Ellen and Joe come in, followed by Sam and Dean. Dean says, you know, this is my fault, Ellen. Joe did good out there. Her dad would be proud. And Ellen
Worst
goes
thing
up and
for him to say.
Don't fucking say that. And then she says, I needed a moment with my daughter alone. So Sam and Dean go outside. And Joe starts trying to defend herself, saying that she's okay, she's alive. Ellen's angry, but she understands. Ellen finally says what she is truly upset about, which is that Joe let Sam and Dean use her as bait. Joe says they were right there. They were backing me up the whole time. Ellen says, this is why you do not have the sense to do this job. You're trusting your life to them. Joe's very confused. Ellen says, like father, like sons. This is what I'm talking about. Joe says, John? I thought you and John were friends. And Ellen immediately retracts, and I was like, what a good heart Ellen has.
Yeah.
That she's like, oh, John got my husband killed, but I still won't talk shit about him.
Yeah.
Like, this is portrayed as a moment of weakness for her that she immediately retracts. And it's like, oh my god, what a nice person.
Yeah.
And Joe confronts her still, like, Mom, what are you not telling me?
So we cut to the outside where Sam and Dean are waiting. Joe comes out. She's clearly upset. She walks by them without saying a word. So Dean follows her. And he asks, that bad, huh? And Joe starts trying to shake him off, saying not right now. When Dean, I guess, touches her arm and tells her to talk to him, she yells, get off me. And Dean says, yeah, okay, sorry, see you around. And he starts leaving. But then Joe says, Dean, it turns out my dad had a partner on his last hunt. He usually worked alone. This guy did too, but I guess my father figured he could trust him. Mistake. Guy screwed up. Got my dad killed. And Dean says, what does this have to do with me? And Joe says, it was your father, Dean. And Dean's shocked, but Joe continues saying, why do you think John never came back? Never told you about us? Because he couldn't look my mom in the eye after, that's why. And she tells Dean, just get out of here. Just leave. And she starts walking away again. And the episode closes on, Dean looking pensive. Boo. I'm sick of Dean shots.
This is not about Dean. This is not about
Dean. It should have been on Joe's face at the end.
Yeah, so that's the end scene. What do you have anything to say about that reveal?
I think they did a good job working up to it. It was pretty obvious, but it was also kind of the point of the episode. I guess I'm curious to see what will happen as an aftermath of that reveal.
Yeah. I like the reveal, but it didn't feel that strong to me because I just have seen this before and know it's gonna happen. So it's yeah. But I bet if this is a first time, that reveal that John fucked up so bad, and that's why Ellen and Joe remained separate from Sam and Dean for so long, it's oh, well, that sucks, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a good reveal. Yeah. So what did you think about this episode?
Definitely better than last episode. I liked that Joe got a chance to shine, and I like that they actually made her a person.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's still some aspects of the case that I didn't like, but at least if you're looking at Joe versus Tracy, it's no fucking contest. Yeah. I think it's a good setup for future Sam, Dean, Joe, Ellen relations.
I agree. I like this episode. I think, Joe, I think they really expand on Joe and Ellen, and they feel, I mean, they also did feel like real people then, just people we didn't know, and now there are people we are getting to know, and that's really fun. Best line, worst line. What's your best line? I'll start. All right. My best line is the one that I said earlier when Ellen said, Joe says, John, I thought you and John were friends. And Ellen says, yeah, we were. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. That line is so character building, for the reasons I said earlier.
Yeah.
But also the idea that this is what happened between John and Mr. Harvell. And yet the way Ellen welcomes Sam and Dean is still so open arms, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's very touching to think that there's this so much baggage, so much history, and yet they just think of themselves as, you know, we are a unit. Like, it is essential that we stick together, especially now that there's, like, as you said last episode, a war coming.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a really good foundation for the relationship. It adds complexity, especially to Alan's character.
Yeah. I think my best line might just be when, like, Dean says, like, yeah, I like the job because I'm a little twisted, and Joe says, you don't think I'm a little twisted too? Like, it's on the nose, but it's a good moment of, like, we're going to make sure that this character is a person.
For a worst line, I think I'll go for I should have cleaned the pipes. I groaned in real life. I was like, Dean, come on.
Keep that shit to yourself.
What's your worst line?
I guess I'm gonna go with, sweetheart, this ain't gender studies.
And it's your worst line because it is gender studies.
Yeah, it literally is gender studies all the time.
Yeah. So, IMDb rating. What is your IMDb rating for this episode?
See, I liked this one, but I also, again, know that Joe was pretty unpopular with viewers during the time. So I feel like...
Boo!
So I feel like some people would rate it low just because they're like, I don't, like, care about this character and I don't like how much of a, like, focus she got. But, like, I thought it was pretty good. So I think I'm just gonna guess an 8.5 because it's definitely better than Simon Said, and that got an 8.5. So... yeah, 8.5.
Yeah. Considering everything, I think I rated Simon... Oh, do you remember how I rated Simon Said?
I think, did you say like an 8.3?
Okay. So it makes sense. Okay. I think I'm gonna rate this 8.4, not because I don't like it as much as you do, but just because I think... you know, it's a Monster of the Week, and we've seen how Monster of the Weeks this season are treated, like, rating-wise. So I'm lowballing it a bit, but I do think it deserves, like, an 8.5 or higher, if so. Okay, let's look. Oh, it's an 8.2.
Aww. Okay. Sad.
Which is not that bad.
Yeah. But it's just weird that it's been like episode 1 was like a 9 something, and then it was at flat at 8.2 everywhere except for a 7.9 for Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, and then a spike of 8.5 for Simon Said. Like, that's not the direction that this, like, line plot should be going in.
Yeah, this one review rates it 6/10 and says that they don't understand why Joe was hated before, but now they do.
What? What did she do wrong?
Because they think the writers screwed up Joe's character because she's too young for Dean. He only sees her as an inexperienced schoolgirl, a younger sister who has a chance for a normal life, and a mother who wants more for her. How is that?
What does that have to do with Joe? Like, that's Dean's shit.
Oh my god.
I don't understand.
Joe is no doubt a tough girl. She has a knife collection, but not too tough to be a hunter. The girl tries too hard, but I don't really know. Is it whether to make her daddy proud or to impress Dean and make him see her as an equal? All in all, Joe is not a good hunter. She has no solid plan hunting the ghost. She was too scared when it got her, and if not for the boys, she would certainly be dead. Fuck off!
Boo! Boo! You think that Sam and Dean don't almost die in every episode too?
This another one rated 6/10 and says that Joe is also trying too hard. I like the show best when it's just the two brothers hunting together. Fuck off.
God.
Why do we keep on reading IMDb reviews, Crystal?
So that we
do not have
understand
our
why.
big brains.
Exactly. They do not. This person just said that they think that Joe went on the hunt because of Dean. What's wrong with you? She was put together the file. She was gonna go herself before. Like, Dean going was like an obstacle to her plans. Fuck off.
More complaint about how Dean and Joe end up becoming like strongly platonic and they start off romantic, so that's like not in character for them. I've said this before, but like I don't see a problem with that. They realize later on that it's not romantic. I think that's fine.
Yeah, I also think that's fine.
I feel like not the problem, but like a perspective that we take when we watch Supernatural is like we acknowledge the writers. I mean, God knows we acknowledge the fucking writers, but we do see the characters as people.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a difference that we have from these reviewers. Like, they see it as, like, writing choices. And we do as well. Like, we talk about how this writing choice, that writing choice, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But we like to, like, really settle in and take a jacuzzi on what am I saying? No, like I mean, like we're like stewing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're like stewing on the characters as people.
Yeah.
So I think that's the difference. Like a real person, a real relationship that goes from romantic to platonic could make sense. Yeah. But I guess in writing, it does seem a little bit off that this is where they start and then the writers just forget, you know?
Yeah. The last review on this page is correct. They gave it 9 and then just said, with Joe, which is a good character. So true.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all you have to say, and that's the right amount of stars.
Okay, so that's it for this episode of Busty Asian Beauties. Next time we'll be talking about Season 2, Episode 7, The Usual Suspects. Leave us a rating or a review wherever you get your podcasts.
Follow us on social media. We are on Twitter at twitter.com/beautiespodcast and on Tumblr at bustyasianbeautiespod.tumblr.com. Our official tag is BABPOD, BABPod, and thank you to everyone who's donated to our Ko-fi at ko-fi.com/bustyasianbeautiespod.
You can email us any feedback, comments, or inquiries at bustyasianbeautiespod@gmail.com. See you guys next time. Bye!